we're doing something a little bit different today. This is a Vikings podcast at heart, but we're Minnesota sports fans through and through. It's been an exciting year for Minnesota sports. For a stretch there, you could honestly say the best team in Minnesota, and you could still say it right now, is the Minnesota Timberwolves. Shocking the world, 7th seed as we speak at the moment, 42-31. Started out the season, you felt good. I think they won a few games to start the year. They went on a little bit of a slump. We're 4-9. Since then, they are 38-22. They're 11-3 since the All-Star break. Things are looking good with this Minnesota Timberwolves team. It's been helped the fact that we're number 1 in points per game. As defensive rating goes, we are number 11th, 109.8. That's solid. The defense has actually been really good this year. With the addition of players like Patrick Beverley, who's just an outstanding defender. You got Jaden McDaniels, who's hurt now. He's a really good defender. Towns has started defending a little bit. D'Lo, it is what it is. Anthony Edwards is a high motor guy. They've been fun to watch this year. Probably one, in the past, I've always loved Timberwolves basketball. I love basketball in general. I'm not a huge basketball buff. Like, I don't know all the players. I don't know everything about it like I do with football, but I do love basketball. Just seeing the Timberwolves be a fun team to watch. I went to a game earlier on this month. It's exciting. It's an exciting time for the Minnesota Timberwolves. I love it. What do you think, Jamie? How are you feeling about the season so far?
I'm super pumped, man. I've been waiting. Like, I'm a huge basketball. Football's number 1, but basketball is definitely second. And I know a decent amount of other players and obviously our team, but dude, this team has been awesome. And we've been waiting years and years and years. I mean, we had, the year with Jimmy Butler and stuff like that, but it didn't feel as good. We had to get rid of Levine, and lose some pieces to bring him in. And then obviously, he left, and that was even worse. So that whole experience kind of sucked, even though we made playoffs. But to see this team come in and just the way they're playing, and also just how they like the what is it, like the vibe with each other, their like team chemistry and friendship. And it sounds like, they hang out and stuff outside of the game, and all of that stuff is just next level. And obviously Anthony Edwards is just a monster. Got to bring him up. I mean, second year, just has that confidence. That's insane. Like, I think Patrick Beverley recently said something, his ceiling is Michael Jordan. And I mean, Anthony Edwards would be the first person to say the same thing. And so that's crazy. Our big three with Cat is playing all this world. He's playing like one of the best players in the league. If not playing as the best player in the league, in my opinion. And I'll go a little bit more with him. And then D'Lo. D'Lo will have stretches where you don't see him a lot. He's always getting the ball to the right spot and stuff, but then he'll go on these stretches where he's just killing it, and his shots just coming down, and he's the guy who wants the ball in his hand at the end of the game, and he's just has ice in his veins. And man, it's really turned around. Patrick Beverley, like you said, he's been a huge addition to this team, and he's a player, of course, that everybody hates if he's not on your team. But man, if he is on your team, he's just like the sickest player to have. And to see him have that energy and this, the stuff with the other team's players and stuff, it's just so nice to see that. It's so funny because, we brought Jimmy Butler to be kind of that guy, but there's something about him where he just doesn't do it the right way like Patrick Beverley does. Right. So I like that. I was just gonna say one more thing. Lastly, with that, I guess, well, Jaden McDaniels has been awesome, but I would say Vando, him coming in and playing with his energy and literally falling on the floor every chance he gets to go for a ball and being everywhere on the court, I think is massive for our team. But yeah, what were you gonna say?
And they've been so fun to watch. And I think you mentioned the way that Beverly, leads the team and talks to Cat. Like, there was even a time I think he was struggling in a game, and Beverly kind of went up to him and said, "Hey, you're playing really bad. You got to turn it around." Right. And it's like he did it, and it's all about the way you do things. It's all about showing respect to your teammates.
Yeah, and trust. They trust each other enough,
right,
to be able to say something like that and not take it the wrong way.
Right. And D'Angelo Russell's probably my favorite player on the team. So clutch. And just the thing that this team finally has is that attitude. Not even just like after one of their games, like after the game against the Lakers, people thought maybe a little bit too much attitude. But you need that. This is what we've been needing from a guy like Karl Anthony Towns for a long time. And, attitude, yes, it's instilled by the players, but I think attitude is also instilled at the top. And this team went
Yeah.
through a little bit of turmoil before the season started with the whole Gerson Rosa situation and Sonny
Yeah.
Luka
Right.
taking over last minute. But
Mhm.
I think one of the best things that that Gerson Rosas did before he left, and I like what's his name, the coach we had before.
Um.
Can't think of it. Saunders. I,
Oh.
I I like
Yeah.
Ryan
Ryan
Saunders as a man.
Sanders.
I think he's a good basketball
Yeah.
mind. I just don't. I mean, and maybe he can. Maybe it was his first step. Maybe he needs a little more time to develop. I don't think he was ready
Right.
for a head coaching gig. Respect the guy, of course, but Chris Finch for this team has been like he just brings it, and you could tell last year they started playing better as soon as he took over.
Yeah.
And
He did. They
I
did.
think he finally has an above 500 record. And it's just you can see his impact on this roster. And he kicked in.
Mhm.
I think after the Orlando game, he was down on himself. He kicked himself and said, I made bad decisions here. I made bad decisions
Yeah. Yeah.
there.
With no
And then
will.
he had like they said he had a fiery locker room meeting, and this team goes out in Miami and wins the game the next
Mhm.
a couple nights later. So I think the leadership he's brought to this team has been amazing. When you speak about leadership, team leaders, Karl Anthony Towns, to start the year, I was impressed with the play. I was not impressed with the attitude. And I get it. He's had a lot. I mean, and he's had a lot of life of a lot of things go on in his life over the last couple of years. And I'm not
Yeah.
discounting that. I think he even said it. There was a time where he fell out of love with the game just because of all the things that happened on the field with his mom and COVID and everything.
Right. Right. Right.
But
Right.
I do feel like, but you've seen it in the past too. When he starts to lose, he kind of, gets mopey, gets the attitude. I feel like now that we're winning, you're finally seeing the true Karl Anthony Towns, the leader of the team, the big dog, the big cat, I guess I should say.
Yeah.
And just that MVP level play where it's on the court in a leadership perspective as well as his play. So I
Yeah.
think that's been one of the major influences as well. Is he's the team feeds off their leadership, and I feel like the leadership has kind of gone to the D'Lo and the Beverleys and the Anthony Edwards because they got the right attitude. I think Towns is finally matching that attitude,
If not going above it
right
now.
And and again, I think that all does come from the head coach. I don't think Chris Finch is getting nearly as much love for Coach of the Year as he should be getting.
Mm-hmm.
It is what it is at the end of the day, but I think just the big part of this team is you see the attitude, and even this, like the thing I pointed out, and I think we've talked about it many times as we text back and forth during the games,
Mm-hmm.
is a lot of these games that we have won or lost by a little bit are type of games that in the first quarter, when like I'll take the Cleveland game, for example, we get down like 16-20 in the first quarter. Timberwolves teams of old would pack it in and call it a day and just give up the rest of the game. This team fights back. They won that game. They had the same thing happen in a couple other games up to this point. Even the game against Dallas, where questionable officiating, sure. But there were some shots. I watched the second half of the game. The shots just were not dropping for this team. And they didn't get down on themselves. They kept fighting. And it's great. This is what you need to see from a team. And the thing is, people on that big winning streak, people said, "Oh yeah, but look at the teams you beat." Those are games back in the day that Timberwolves teams would have lost. They're beating the teams they're supposed to beat. Of course, you're going to slip up every now and then. It happens, but you just see the overall influence from Chris Finch and the players now on this team. They're in a much better head state. Like they're playing with confidence.
Yeah, and I did want to say, and not just, and I want to go back to Karl Anthony Towns in a second here, but yeah, not just that, not just the fight of being down and coming back and winning and winning some of these games. Recently, I think we had 2 games where we were down by like 10 points and came back to win. But it's just winning the teams or beating the teams that we're supposed to beat. And we're showing that big time. And that's probably one of the biggest things I've seen as a Wolves, where we'll beat like a Golden State for some stupid reason, and then we'll lose to the worst team in the NBA. And now when we don't, or we'll at least keep it close, and they might have a chance and we barely win or something. No, when we play a bad team, we destroy them. And that's like probably one of the biggest, biggest breath of fresh air. Yeah. Biggest breath of fresh air to me is that we'll beat the teams we're supposed to beat. And I think that's the biggest sign for me that we've moved on from being a bad team to actually a really good team. But I wanted to go back to Towns real quick too, because I just wanted to say with him is his rookie season. He walked around with tons of swag. Like his rookie season, and with KG and Flip and everybody, he came in and he just had like this excitement to him. And I could see that leadership. He wanted all of that. And even after his rookie season, I think teams were saying, what player would you want to build your team around? Everybody was saying Karl Anthony Towns. And he just had that about him. And then I think I think the losing started to take the toll. Jimmy Butler comes in, and that ends up not really going really well. I think he was kind of not loving the game as much. And then, like you said, everything with his mom and stuff, that's going to be a huge killer in anything that's going on in your life. And I think that really did bring him down. And I do think that this year, at like you said in the beginning of the year, you still didn't see him step up as that like leader, that alpha, that MVP type mindset that you'd like to see. And we started winning games, and you could see that kind of starting to happen right before the All-Star game. And honestly, and I said this right away, right after this happened, is when he was in the 3-point contest, and he won that 3-point contest, and he was had the lowest Vegas odds to win. I just immediately saw that sway came back. I think that was just like, he just he just showed everybody again, like, hey, he's not just a good big 3-pointer. He's one of the best 3-point shooters in the league. I still think he's getting disrespected there by some people. I just saw a top 10 shooting list and he wasn't on there. I'm like, no, you're insane. And which is extremely impressive. There's no one even close to him. No big of all time can even touch him in that category, shooting threes. But ever since that 3-point competition, that swag is back. That confidence is back. And he is the reason why we're playing so well after this All-Star game, because he's came back and obviously had a 60-point game, 7 for 11 3-pointers out of a 7-foot big. That is insane. And I think Kyrie the next day comes and has his 60-point game and kind of overshadowed Cat. And I'm just like, how do you overshadow Cat? He's 7 foot, 7 for 11 in 60-point games. The last 60-point game by a center since 2001, I think, which was Shaq. And that's insane. And that confidence, everything, that leadership, everything is back. And I think that's the reason why I feel so good about this team going forward now. And that if we make the playoffs, I think we can make a solid playoff push. And I don't think we'll see. It'll be interesting tonight. We actually play the Suns because they're the biggest competition in the conference right now. But I don't think there's a team that we can't beat. And I think it all starts with because of how Towns is playing, and his confidence and all that stuff is back, man. So I'm excited for that.
Exactly. It's fun to watch. I mean, we were talking about all the players on this team that are contributors, and then we talked about 3-point shooting, and that we totally forgot about Malik Beasley. The guy, I mean, this was 2 weeks ago, already had the franchise record for 3-pointers in a season. So that says something. At the trade deadline, I mean, and like I said, I'm not a huge basketball guy. I would have been fine with trading him for somebody else, because I think at that point he's kind of on a culture. He is a little bit streaky, but when that guy is on, he is on. Just fantastic. He's a good guy coming off the bench. He can start here and there. He's really good. Taurean Prince has been really good as well. Jalen Noel has stepped up a lot.
Yeah.
He's starting to score now. So
McCaughlin had like the record for the most assists without a turnover, in history or something.
Funny thing I saw on our Twitter actually is after the game against the Lakers, someone was talking shit. They're like, dude, Jake Layman got minutes. That's how you know you got some problems there. So
yeah.
But it's just it's a deep. I mean, I don't know. Would you call it a deep roster? Naz Reid?
Yeah, it is a deep. I think Malik Beasley, he was very streaky earlier in the season. He was actually playing terrible. That's the reason why he was even an option for the trade deadline. But people forget that last year when I think Edwards was good, but D'Lo was out, Cat was out, like everybody was out. He stepped up and he was our number one guy, and he has that ability. He's been through some shit, it's his own fault, but he's been through some shit too. And I think that's part of the reason why. And that shot's coming down. So when it came to free agency, I definitely didn't want to get rid of Malik Beasley for what I knew people were going to try to pay for him, because I just knew he was far more talented on our team and far better on our team than what we would have gotten for him. Even I just believe that his shot would start coming and he would play the way that we saw in stretches last year. But as far as being deep, yeah, man, I mean, I think Malik Beasley kind of coming off the bench. Naz Reid is such a good center to have behind, and they're all young too. So it's like we're seeing these guys. McDaniel's another example, is another guy who could be in a starting lineup and has all the potential in the world, and he's coming off the bench. All these guys are young and only getting better. We're seeing, that's what's so cool about this team, is like we're literally getting better throughout the season, because our young players are actually getting better and progressing, including Anthony Edwards, which we do need to talk more about him, I guess. But yeah, Noel, McCaughlin, Reed, McDaniels, Beasley. Beasley's only like 25 years old. I mean, these guys aren't even in our bench is not in their prime yet, and only getting better, and they're only going to keep getting better. So it's so cool how well we're doing this year. But honestly, we're so set up for just the next 5 years,
Yeah. Yep. A lot of stars on the team, decent, or like very solid bench play, solid backups. My favorite thing is just the attitude. Finally, it's like I think
Mhm.
this team believes that they can win games. They
Yeah.
know they can win basketball games now, and that's what you're finally seeing. And it's nice to see a team like that. It's been a long time. So I don't know, man. It's exciting. It's exciting times to be a Timberwolves basketball fan. It really is. And I went to a game a couple years back. It was actually Jimmy Butler's first game back in Minnesota when he played for Philadelphia, and they ended up winning the game. But it's just like if you can get and we finally started to see, if you put a good basketball team in that stadium, it's a fun time. Target Center is fun.
Yeah.
When
It's filling up
they're
now.
winning and when they're playing well, especially now with D'Angelo Russell calling fans out for not being loud enough during the games and doing the "you don't sit till they score" thing. And that's what you need. You need people that get your fans involved in the game. We finally have that. Cat's playing his best ball, playing with some confidence, playing with good leadership. The rest of the team's following him because he is their leader. It's fun times, man. And it's all I just can't keep I just can't stop gushing over Chris Finch, how good of a job he's done coaching.
Yeah, it's done amazing. I didn't know what to expect him coming in, but there's no question he knows exactly how to put the right players in the right spots. He knows how to handle the players and give them that right confidence, that little bit of like, hey, you did bad, but you didn't hey, you played bad this game, but I know you can play better. And not just say like, hey, that was shit or something like that. I don't know. He just distills this confidence in our team. But then we have to bring back to Anthony Edwards. I mean, ever since we drafted him, his confidence and just his mindset I think, is another big reason that changed this team. I mean, he's someone that he thinks he's the best. He really thinks he's the best, and he thinks he's going to be the best. And having that, whether you think that's cocky, whatever you think about that, he actually believes that, and it shows in the way he plays. It shows the way he conducts himself, and I think the rest of the team feeds off of that. And he's someone in here who's like, no, we're not gonna lose anymore. Like, and I don't care if it takes 20 shots from me a game and I make 3, I'm still gonna keep doing. Like, having that is something else that we were missing in all these past years. Is that mindset of someone who thinks that they're going to be the best who ever played.
And then Patrick Beverley also came in and said, I've never missed the playoffs in my career, and I don't envision that happening this year either. So
yeah,
good
he's such
there.
a big addition. I was so glad that we extended him towards
I know they were talking about trade. They're talking about him kind of being a trade piece, turn around and get Ben Simmons. I'm like, I think we're fine. I think we're good.
Yeah, it's crazy, man. It's so fun to see him.
Yeah. Exciting times. We should preface, this video is recorded before the Suns game, so we could be even, this video could be even better if they had played the Suns and beat them, or if they lose, we might be a little down in the dumps. But overall, this has been, before that, up until this point, good stuff. Happy with what I've seen, and hope they can keep getting better, getting into the playoffs.
I do want to say, for anybody who's watching this, we want to appreciate you're watching the GG Sport Podcast. We are a podcast of the Minnesota Vikings, but like you said, we're all about all Minnesota sport teams. We're always going to pop around and talk about other teams here and there. So if you want to see that and continue seeing that and see Vikings videos, stuff like that, hit that subscribe button, hit the bell, get notifications for all the videos. And yeah, man, let's get this playoff push for the Timberwolves, playoff push for the Wild. Big Minnesota Twins stuff going on here with that Carlos Correa, right? Carlos Correa. Yeah, Carlos Correa signing. And then I mean, it's exciting times. And of course the Vikes, man. I mean, Zadarius Smith, we just got him, and new coaching, new everything. It's coming around. Minnesota sports coming around. And if the Timberwolves are one of the teams that you can feel that confident about, it's turning around.
Yeah. So that'll do it for GG Sports Podcast Timberwolves edition. Leave a like if you enjoyed. Let us know your thoughts on this Minnesota Timberwolves team down in the comments. If you want to check out some of our other videos, we'll pop them right up here for you. Don't forget to subscribe to the GG Sports Podcast, and we will see you guys in the next episode.
Skol Vikes.
And go Wolves.
Oh, yeah.